Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Derek Main, and today I'm going to try something a little different. The reason I want to try something a little different, I haven't been feeling quite like my usual self in terms of talking about books, lacking some of the confidence, I think, in my own observations and experience. Going through one of those seasons in life that are introspective, perhaps difficult, certainly difficult, but in my experience at my age, there's an optimism from past experience that these sorts of seasons of our life are typically followed by a very positive and marked shift and change, either typically spiritually, frankly, just for whatever that means for you. So I've been finding solace in some poetry, and I don't have anything necessarily to add to the work that isn't already in the work. But I was thinking, and specifically, this is the collection that, well, you clicked the video, so presumably that's in the title. But this is the collection. It's a beautiful day out today. I am in this phase of my life where I want to say something, but I don't know what it is that I'm trying to say. Some of the things that I've been considering and turning over my head have been represented very well in A.R. Ammons' Garbage. So I am going to read. I think that poetry, more than, maybe this is an obvious point, but I really like how it changes so dramatically based on its reading. So it's a very different experience, just you and the page, and the way that your internal reading voice approaches something like poetry versus having poetry read to you and experiencing it that way. So I'm going to walk around here in this beautiful day and just read a few of my favorite sections, favorite lines. A couple of things. I'm not. I think I'm only in the description just for like flow purposes. Put the page number citation so that you know where I'm at. Otherwise, I think I'll just sort of pause and let nature speak out some in its expressive voice in between, like moving from one section to the other. But this is a long epic poem, so one thing to note is like it's very different when you're pulling out lines, like you're not actually really probably getting the experience that the author intended. I'm sort of curating that experience, and I think that's okay. I think I've decided that's okay. The other thing this requires is an edit. So when this part ends and I go for my walk, somehow I have to figure out how to like put this part and then the next part. And I'm not Steven Spielberg, so so this next moment may be awkward, but here we go. This is what I mean about how beautiful the day is. It's very, very hot. I was saying to someone the other day that August is actually the coolest month down here. I live in North Carolina, and the heat is fairly brutal for about a month here, but we're blessed with 4 distinct seasons, and frankly the other 3 are just too lovely. Ammons, the poet that I'm going to read from today, he's from North Carolina. He's from Whiteville, which is
sort of western North Carolina, closer to where I grew up, whereas now I live in the eastern part of the state, a couple hours away from the coast. This poem, Garbage, he thought that garbage was a really good sort of jumping off point or topic to you know to dive into contemporary life and meaning, because garbage was such a big part of our lives, the waste. Okay, so this is right from the very beginning. Creepy little creepers are insinuatingly curling up my spine, bringing the message, saying, "Boy, are you writing that great poem the world's waiting for? Don't you know you have an unaccomplished mission, unaccomplished? Someone, somewhere, maybe at this very moment, dying for the lack of what W.C. Williams says you could, or somebody could, be giving? Yeah?" So these little messengers say, "What do you mean teaching school? Teaching poetry and poetry writing and wasting your time painting sober little organic meaningful pictures? When values thought lost but only scrambled into disengagement lie around demolished and centerless because you, that's me, boy, haven't elaborated everything in everybody's face yet." Why should I be trying to write my flattest poem now? For whom? Not for myself, for others. Posh as I have never said. Social Security can provide the beans, soy's enough. My house, paid for 20 years, is paid for. My youngin' is raised. Nothing one can pay cash for seems very valuable. Garbage has to be the poem of our time, because garbage is spiritual, believable enough to get our attention, getting in the way, piling up, stinking, turning books brownish and creamy white. What else deflects us from the errors of our illusionary ways? Not a temptation to trashlessness, that is too far off, in any way unimaginable, unrealistic. I'm a hole puncher or hole plugger, stick finger in the damn, dike. Hold back the issue of creativity's flood, the forthcoming futuristic, the origins feeding trash down by I-95 in Florida, where flatlands, oceans, and Gulf flat mounds of disposal rise. Refined young earthworms drowned up in macadam pools by spring rains moisten out white in a day or so, and round spots look like sputum or creamy rich broken up cold clams. If this is not the best poem of the century, can it be about the worst poem of the century? It comes, at least, toward the end. What the hell kind of talk is that? I can't believe I'm merely an old person whose mother is dead, whose father is gone, and many of whose friends and associates have winded away to the ground, which is only heavy wind, or to ashes a lighter breeze. But it was all quite frankly to be expected and not looked forward to, even old trees. I remember some of them, where they used to stand, pictures taken by some of them, and old dogs, especially one imperial black one, quad dogs, with their hierarchies, another Archie, one succeeding another, the barking and romping, sliding away like slides from a projector. What were they then that are what they are now? So I am now a little uncertain on purpose. I recognize cases and other words from time to time that I'd rather see go through my own. They seem wiser cases. They come from people who seem better wrapped around their spines. When their mouths are open, their vertebrae form a sounding foundation for their words. I have never, frankly, grown up. Not if growing up means I wouldn't trade in what I have today for something I might get tomorrow. Yep, disposable diapers, good to last 500 years. Cute little baby shit. Rambling thunderstorms and morning's blue darkness, such poetry, drumming and puddling. Life. Life is like a poem. The moment it begins to end. The tension this establishes makes every move and every moment, every gap and stumble, every glide and rise significant. For if life or poem went dribbling endlessly on, what identifiable arc or measure could it clarify? But it is subservient when art imitates life. Art makes life just as it makes itself an imitation. Art makes shape, order, meaning, purpose when there were none or none discernible, none derivable. Life, too, if it is to have meaning, must be made meaningful. If it is to have purpose, its purpose must be divine, invented, manifested. Death is so persuasive. Can't life be? It is fashionable now to mean nothing, not to exist, because meaning doesn't hold, and we do not exist forever. This is forever. We are now in it. Our eyes see through the round time of nearly all of being. Our minds reach out, and in 10 billion years, we are in so much forever we pay it no mind. We'd rather think of today's shopping or next week's day off, but we will not be in forever, forever. That is the dropout. Is it too much to be in forever a while? Dead, we are out of time, and forever, both. I want to get around to where I can say I'm glad I was here, even if I must go. I want to believe that the possibility given me to be here was not a betrayal or trap or hoax, but a trial of the possibility of a possibility. That I can find firm grounds for thinking what I want to think, as well as for despair, incoherence, distrust, drifting acedia. Non-referentiality is a referentiality of non-referentiality. Slap the world anyway, it flaps back. Turn the dial past 0, it's back to 1. Non-representation is a representation of non-representation. Things are awash in ideality, ideal meaninglessness, ideal absurdity, ideal ideals. We want to know the reality of these perfectly, ideally, as themselves. Poems that give up the ideal of making sense do not give up the ideal of not making sense. Nom de plumage best feathers a nest egg, ivory doorknob.